we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for joining us today for So What the Heck is SalesTech? I'm going to be your hostess today. My name is Anya Chrysanthon, and joining me is Sarah Williams and John Lee. So on today's webinar, we're going to address a couple of things. So you've probably been hearing all about Martech, SalesTech, PropTech, FinTech. I mean, anything you add tech to seems to be the buzzword of the moment. So we're going to explain what it all means and how does that actually affect new home sales. We're also going to talk about some of the misconceptions. So I know one of the biggest fears that salespeople have is a fear that technology is going to replace them. So we'll talk about that. And we're also going to show you some actual practical applications of SalesTech. So you probably have a lot of the tools already that we're going to discuss today. You may not be using them. You may think of them as a marketing tool rather than a sales technology tool. So we'll talk all about that and show you some really cool tools that you can certainly incorporate into your sales process. We're going to be monitoring your chat today, so feel free to ask questions as we go along, and we'll address them at the end of this presentation. And yes, we're going to be recording this. So if you missed something, don't worry, we got you covered. We're going to send recordings to you. All right, with that, let's meet our team first. So joining me is a fabulous Sarah Williams. Sarah is a director of sales here at Nugo. So Sarah, if you don't mind giving us a little bit of a backstory on who you are.
Thanks, Anya, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I am Sarah Williams. As you see, I'm holding an Oscar. That's my dream. Later that night, I did win a McSam. So I was in Vegas pretending to win an Oscar. But I've been in the new home industry for over 18 years. I started out working for home builders, selling actual homes and model homes, then went into online sales and marketing, and then moved over to tech. Just about 9 years ago, I moved into the tech sector of new home sales. I'm a mom of 3. I've got a teenager, a 13-year-old, and 2 toddlers. I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. Been married for, it'll be 15 years this summer. But I'm just so excited to be here, and I geek out over this stuff. So I'm just super pumped to be here to talk about this with you guys today.
Yay. And joining us is our fearless leader, CEO of Nugo, John Lee.
Hey guys, so some of you probably know me for many years. I co-founded Rendering House. That was our name before Nugo back in 2001. It was just a couple of us that started, but since then we've grown to about 70 people now. So we're really moving into this new tech platform with the Nugo. And you know, I'm not all stiff and just tech talk. I do have a family here. I do have some fun. That's my daughter on the left at her wedding, and I do dance once in a while. And in this other picture here, that's 2 of my 3 kids there, my daughter and my son in the front, and they both also work for Nugo. And then that's her husband in the back, Sean. He's actually a realtor. So the one interesting thing about 3 of us here, 3 of us here actually have gotten real estate licenses. So we're really into this family business and we love it.
Very cool. And lastly, I'm your hostess with the mostest today. I'm Anya Chrysanthon. Some of you may know me from my previous life as the host of the New Construction Marketing Podcast. I started my career in new home sales. I have a marketing background, and now I combine that with my love for technology here at Nugo. I'm also a mom of 3 wonderful kids who keep me very busy. And I have also 2 huskies, so my fearless wolves. And here at Nugo, if you're not familiar with who we are, we're really on a mission to make buying new homes fun and easy experience. And we do that by partnering with our home builders to provide visualization tools, as well as interactive tools, and even technology like Buy Now to take customer all the way through that process. But enough about us. Let's kick things off. And John, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is Martech?
Okay, we're here to talk about SalesTech, but I want to start off with Martech because Martech and SalesTech are actually interconnected. You know, most of you have heard the term Martech, you know, because as builders have been digitally marketing for a couple of decades now. I mean, Martech is really the fusion of marketing and technology, and it's really to help consumers shop online. Marketing brings buyers and sellers together online, but technology really improves those connections by using the digital mediums of today's tech-savvy consumers. But consumers are no longer just shopping online, they're actually buying online. With e-commerce, we've seen this convergence of marketing and sales online. I mean, for example, everybody's on Amazon. On Amazon, not only can you learn about the products via photos, 360s, videos, and even augmented reality, along with ratings and reviews, but with one click, you can immediately add them to your shopping cart and then transact and have next day delivery. So really, e-commerce is the fusion of Martech and SalesTech. But what's the difference between Martech and SalesTech? So I'm trying to keep it really simple here because I don't want to overwhelm you all at the beginning. But the purposes are a little bit different. The purpose for Martech is you're using technology to create demand. SalesTech is using technology to deliver that demand. Now, you notice that I didn't say just to sell the product. As a salesperson nowadays, you're more than just selling the product. You're delivering the needs of the consumer, whether they need that house in a certain time frame, whether they need to be updated on the progress of their homes, whether they're looking for a certain lifestyle or certain options or a certain time frame. You're delivering on that demand, and using sales technology, you can really facilitate that conversation. The focus for the two, Martech is really appealing to the general audience. They're really some of the anonymous prospects out there. They're just kind of maybe just circling the wagon of, or they're interested in new homes. SalesTech is really going after the individual customers. It's really about that personal relationship. So the goal of Martech is really that broad marketing goal of attracting an audience and creating that engagement, creating that interest, that desire to be in a new home. SalesTech is really nurturing that customer engagement and ultimately, obviously, to convert those sales. So what are the different approaches from Martech versus SalesTech? Martech, like I said, is really for a generic audience. So it's a lot of impersonal presentations. Old days, you had flyers and brochures and even billboards or signs to get there. You're just trying to create that awareness of this industry, of the products, and of who you are. SalesTech is now that you have that relationship with that buyer and you want to nurture and cultivate them down that sales funnel through that personal relationship. So one of the misconceptions about SalesTech is, SalesTech is going to replace the salespeople. No, it's actually to bring the salespeople in that conversation with the buyers. And part of those techniques of Martech to attract that is through generic and static presentations, whereas with SalesTech, you're using a lot of collaborative tools. So, with SalesTech, traditionally sales has taken a backseat to marketing. Marketing has always been at the top of the sales funnel. They're known for creating the brand, the messaging, and getting you there. But SalesTech improves that online sales conversions, and it also puts sales for the first time in the driver's seat instead of the back seat. And it just so happens that the word seat is an acronym of the three major tools for SalesTech: sales engagement, sales automation, and sales transaction. So let me elaborate on some of those things. The sales engagement tools that they have out there, they really allow salespeople using a digital platform to have that one-on-one conversation with each and every one of their clients. Just going to do a quick shout out to one of our friends out there, Novi Homes. They've done a great job with taking their sales engagement tool to create that conversation with their buyers using their app, not just through the sales process, but through the whole construction process. Really bringing all the players in that long process and to keep everyone engaged and updated. The second part of sales tech is that sales automation piece. And this is where we're bringing in AI. AI is artificial intelligence, and we're utilizing AI and data to help buyers match them with builders and with products. And it also provides sales guidance and notifications of, say, triggered shopping events or availability of products. it's using technology to keep everybody aware and then create actionable notifications or marketing campaigns to respond to those needs. And then finally, sales transaction. This is really where we've incorporated buy now. I mean, e-commerce has always been the holy grail of new homes, and it hasn't happened. But actually, in February, we were the first ones to allow the buyers to interactively design their homes and then actually purchase it online with our Harbor Homes. Within a couple of days of us introducing that, they were able to actually have a buyer transact, and they've had a few more transactions since then. So it's becoming more and more popular, and we're in the process of bringing 3 more builders into this buy online, buy now process. So SalesTech, you may come here and say, well, I don't know what this is all about, but actually, if you think of yourselves as a consumer, it's everywhere. I mean, when you go to the airport and those sales kiosks, those touch screens, it's not just helping you check in your baggage. You can actually buy tickets there. If you've been through a Chick-fil-A drive-through line, which goes on forever, unfortunately, they have some employees out there with their iPads. Not only are they taking your order, they're transacting with your credit cards right there. So it's facilitating the sales process. And even behind the scenes, like at call centers, SalesTech is used to guide those sales reps, whether it's for training or know how to respond to the customers' needs and questions, and how to guide them, and also facilitate the products and services that you're trying to promote. So it really is everywhere. And the other great example of that is Uber. Uber, most of you have used their app, and that enables that personal engagement between the passenger and the driver. But their AI not only matches the drivers and passengers with the destinations, but it notifies both parties of the arrival and then maps out the best route. So there's a lot of AI in there. But a surprising benefit of this is sometimes the passenger thinks they're actually shopping the drivers. Well, the drivers are salespeople. They're independent contractors, like many of you. They're actually shopping the riders. This guy's a good tipper. This guy's messy. This guy stinks. Or this guy's going the same direction. They're shopping their ideal leads. Now, imagine if we can give the sales tech to use salespeople so you can find the best leads that were the fastest conversions with the least complaining, basically, shop your consumers. And then finally, Uber puts all this together and optimizes pricing, and it seamlessly handles the credit card transaction. So we want to make this a seamless, fun customer experience. At the end of the day, successful sales tech not only preserves that critical human touch in an increasingly online world, but it also keeps salespeople in touch with how today's tech-savvy consumers communicate without being out of touch with how their consumers are shopping online. So we're going to show you some examples after Anya gives you a little commentary.
Yes, well, good point, John, that really technology is a tool to connect our consumers to the salespeople. I think one of the biggest concerns that I hear from salespeople is, oh my gosh, is this technology, like buy now and all of that, is that going to replace me? And I think Quint Lear said it best when he said that technology will not replace you. Salespeople who use technology will replace you. So chew on that again, right? Technology will not replace you, but salespeople who use technology will replace you. So there's already a lot of technology that's available at your fingertips. You probably don't even realize that your company may have some of this stuff. And I'm going to show you some examples of what that looks like. And examples that we're going to show will apply both to stuff that we do at Inugo, but we also showcase some of the wonderful work of other companies in our industry. Now, one of the points that I want to drive home before we get into examples is I want you to read this statement. So SalesTech is not about online versus on-site. SalesTech enables selling both on and off-site, but everything is done online. So I want you to reread this, because I think the first time I saw this, the first time I heard John say this, it took me a couple of times to really understand what that means. So in other words, the technology such as buy now, it it allows us to transact online, but it doesn't mean that the transaction is going to be online. It just gives the freedom to consumer to either transact on their couch, or they can transact in your sales center with you. So if you think about the example of Lowe's, for example, Lowe's or Home Depot, if you want to shop for a tool, you can go to their website and you can order a tool that you want, and it can be shipped straight to you. So that's an example of doing online transaction and not in person. I can take the other route. I can actually go on their website. I can look at what this tool can do, how I can use it. I can watch the videos. I can even see which aisle that tool is located. And then I can go to the store and pick it up physically. But when I pay for it with my credit card, it's an online transaction, right? They're not pulling out a contract with paper. It's a swipe. So it's electronic transaction. Or I can go in to the store and engage a salesperson on the floor, and they can tell me all about this tool, how it compares to that tool. And again, at the end of the day, I can choose the tool that's right for me. And once again, I am transacting in person, but online when I'm swiping that credit card. So I think that's very important. So I hope that you guys understand this going forward, that sales tech is not here to replace the salesperson. It's not here to take away jobs. It's here to help you do your jobs better. So let's look at some of the examples of sales tech and how you can utilize that when you sell new homes. So this is an example of a community that was going to be pre-sold. So in the beginning, you'll see a drone video of dirt. So this is what the community actually looks like. But what we did in this case is we said, hey, it's really difficult for a consumer to visualize what the final product looks like. Why don't we superimpose an actual community using augmented reality? So augmented reality is combining physical world with virtual reality. So when the two come together, so the dirt you see the tree line, but now we superimpose this community on top of it, so you can see the cars moving. You can really see what the future community looks like. And for your customers, that's one of the biggest challenges, is inability to visualize the final product and lack of transparency, right? Those two things prevent a lot of people from moving forward with buying new construction, because in their eyes, it represents a lot of risk. So tools like this can really take a lot of that risk out of the equation. And that's exactly the idea here. So that's an example of using augmented reality to pre-sell a community. Here's another example of augmented reality. I'm just obsessed with this. So this is a video, and pardon the shakiness. John took this on his cell phone. He was not drinking, I promise you. But the house that you see in front of you, it's a virtual home. So this home does not exist in real world. So he went out into the field and dropped the home on the home site. And you can see he can design right there what this color scheme looks like. So your customers can visualize, what does this house looks like next to my neighbor's home that's maybe already built. So right there, he texted that house to a consumer, and now consumer can look at it on their phone. So again, this is using augmented reality to really visualize what that, and you can see his wife is standing right there. So again, it's bringing that real world to virtual to see what that home is going to look like next to existing homes. And I can see so many different applications here for salespeople, because how many times have you gone out, putting on your boots, getting your measuring tape, wearing your hard hat, walking the home sites and figuring out like, oh, how far is this home going to sit from the curb? What does my backyard looks like? How much space do I have in my backyard? Where boom, you can literally drop this home onto the home site and say, see, what do you think? How much backyard space do you have? Because it takes the physical shape of the actual home. It has the attributes to see exactly how that home is going to feel like when you're going to be interacting with it in the real world. So I'm absolutely obsessed with this technology. I think augmented reality is going to change the way we sell homes. And at this point, really, we're waiting on some hardware, like Google is working on AR glasses and Apple. So those are the things that instead of using your iPad or your iPhone, you could, put on your glasses or even contact lenses, right? It's suddenly activated in the home that I designed at home. I can drop it onto the home site and see exactly what it looks like. Way better than saying, imagine this house with the blue shutters where I can see it.
I mean, I love that. That was 2017 that we did that. So that wasn't new tech. This isn't new technology. That was back in.
Yeah, that was on my iPhone 6.
Yeah.
If anyone still has one of those. So
technology has come a long way from 2017. So you can imagine. So once that becomes more mainstream, we'll see it more and more. But I think with the metaverse and everything that's going on in technology, that's going to be there.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree. So this is an example of a virtual tour video to help customers visualize what the community is going to look like. So as you know, you're not open 24/7. And even if you are open, when you're pre-selling that community, it's usually you have the trash trailers, the porta potty, the dirt roads. And it's really difficult for a consumer to imagine what that's going to look like and to place themselves into that. But if you can paint the picture by showing them the lifestyle, the amenities of the community, and we know that the biggest reason why consumers buy new is not just for the home itself, but it's also for the community and for the amenities, what my lifestyle is going to look like when I move into this community. So this is an excellent tool where you can use videos to help engage your customers and really paint the picture of what that final community will look and feel like. Here's a little sexy video here of Wisteria Lane.
I love it. So this goes, and it's very similar to some of the stuff Anya just showed you. So Wisteria Lane, we got a call from a local real estate agent in Raleigh and said she was listing a property, and she's working with the home builder and developer, right? So she's got to sell the land, and then her builder is going to be building custom homes. We all know the custom homes are not, you can't just open up the lookbook and they're going to be drawn for that homeowner. So they sold one, and she called me and said, I need to showcase this and get people excited. These are homes that are going to be over $1 million, but I only have like 6 or 7 lots. Okay. So something like that, like a listing, if you're a real estate agent or a builder, that this is like what I would call a pocket neighborhood. She was really trying to get the excitement, create some pre-sale. So thinking of Martech, she needed some excitement, but she also needed the tangible thing to say, when someone drove by this cul-de-sac, it was just, as Anya showed you, dirt, right? So we were creating a whole entire environment here for someone that was about to invest over $1.5 million in this, on this home site and on this these builders' homes. So that's what we created here at Wisteria. It has gotten so much traction. But thinking as a salesperson, when you're in these situations, this is a tool that you can use and put it in your arsenal to really help. Anya said it best, like it's the building the confidence before someone's going to write that check, before someone puts that deposit down. Because when you drive by and see a bunch of dirt, you're like, really, is this what's the plan? What's this going to look like? Tools like this is going to help bring it all together. And the visualization is really helping people understand, like, all right, this is what the property is going to look like. It really is going to be this estate style cul-de-sac and not just a pile of dirt. So.
Yes. This is one of my favorites. So going to the home itself now. Again, so many people have a hard time visualizing the home site or what the home is going to look like on that home site. So the one on the bottom left, you can see that, kind of a cottage style estate. But that home is, really was like on a wooded property that the customer was like, I can't see this. I can't imagine what it's going to look like on this hill. So we dropped this home on to show them what the final product is going to look like, how it's going to sit, how it's going to interact with the environment. Or the one to the on the bottom right is an example of a home from Outer Banks. I mean, it's a total architecture, right? If you've ever been to Outer Banks, you know exactly the home. And, you know, what is this home going to look like sitting on, you know, facing the ocean or facing the sound? So it's really, again, giving that ability to your customer to visualize the home from all different angles. And it's so much better than looking at it from a computer or like right from just like a static image. I mean, it's even the one on the top left-hand side. It's kind of like a glamour image with the windows shimmering as you go along. I mean, it's like, wow. And the one on the top right, I love that because this is really straight up from HDTV, right? Like HDTV conditioned consumers to expect this kind of stuff. Like, oh, you know, you're going to build me a house. I want to see boom, 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 how it's going to come together, because this is what consumers see on HDTV. It's coming together. So a practical example of using this would be to show your customers how their home is coming along during the building process. So you can create something like this. And then instead of sending them an update saying like, oh, mechanicals are going this week, or, you know, we're framing your home this week, show them exactly what does it look like? How does it happen? And then I love the idea of doing a walkthrough for mechanicals and electricals before mechanicals and electricals go in, visualizing it, because, you know, you can uncover a lot of mistakes during the virtual walkthrough and realize like, oh, that location for a wet bar is not where I thought it was going to go. It's a lot easier to fix those mistakes before we actually built it, when we can visualize it up front. So that is really cool. And I think for a consumer, this makes sense, right? I mean, I can see house being built and I get it. A lot better than describing the 12-step building process on paper.
Well, this is one of my favorite tools if you ever get to talk to me. The exterior color tool. This is a tool that I feel like every builder could use. So as a salesperson, being able to show your potential buyer or your buyers what the house is going to look like with their chosen finishes, or the finishes that you, the builder, have chose. I have a lot of builders doing specs right now and everything's picked out for the buyers, but they only have maybe a 2D one-off, a JPEG of one house in one color scheme, right? So it's always like, well, and Anya, you and I both lived this life because we both sold houses. All right, let me as a salesperson find the address. And I know people are laughing right now. Let me pull up my Excel spreadsheet. Hold on, let me call my neighboring neighbor to find out if they have this color scheme. All right, you're gonna have to drive 15 miles down the road to go find this house with this color scheme so you can just see what your house is gonna look like. That is the process for so many builders. That was our process way back when. This tool can help eliminate all of that. So this allows you to design as the home builder exactly all the finishes down to the color windows, whether you're doing the black windows or white windows, siding, brick, the whole combination, and be able to showcase that to your shoppers. Okay, so the other way you can do this is put it on your website for someone to design their own house, or let them know, hey, you have the option between this scheme or this scheme. Which one do you like? And you can actually showcase it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use tools like this, but this is actual technology. What I'm showing you, this is not 1,000 renderings created by a human being. This is technology that's on the fly, that literally you pop in, you know, siding, shutters, asphalt, you know, roof or metal roof, and it literally designs the house right there with all the schemes. You have access to every major paint vendor and manufacturer in North America. So you don't have to worry about being able to access your special paint color or your manufacturer. It's all there. So it is such slick technology. If your company does not have a tool like this, please, Anugo, a little plug for us, Anugo offers it. But this is like, it doesn't matter if you're an architect, a small builder, a custom builder, a national, this bit is our national builders. We literally, this tool can save anyone time and money, and all of that drive time. I mean, it's gone. It is, again, building the confidence and giving your customers the experience that they deserve. They should not have to drive all over Kingdom Come or to the other side of town to see what color brick or Hardy or whatever that shutter color, that front door color looks like. I mean, that should be a thing of the past. Sorry, I'm super passionate about that.
I do love this. So it is one of my, it is one of my favorites. And then similar to this tool is an interactive interior tool. Now, I think what the biggest benefit of these two tools is that when your customer is given access to this, so this could be on your website, but then again, if they're in your sales center, you can very easily pull this up and design a home with them. But when they're designing a home and they're picking out finishes and they're picking out colors, what happens is it's called the endowment effect. An endowment effect is when they start to take ownership of the product before it's actually theirs. So this is why software companies give consumers access to their software for free for a trial period, because once we start using it, we take ownership of it. It's very difficult to give it up. So even though they haven't purchased this home, they have taken virtual ownership of this home and they become emotionally invested in this process. Now, again, Sarah, being an ex-salesperson, I remember the days when I would have to meet with my customer for final selections, and we have 1 hour to complete it. And literally, it's the first time that they've seen this stuff, right? And now they're asking me, hey, Anya, what do you think about this backsplash with this cabinet color and, you know, the countertops? I'm like, looks great. But then if it ends up looking crazy, like who's responsible here, right? And you feel like a marriage counselor.
Yeah, marriage counselor. That's what you're playing a reference between
sitting there between the wife and the husband, you know, that she wants this. He's like, no, honey, we can't afford that. And you're just like cringing inside because you're in the middle of it, where they can do this on their own, go through this process, decide what they want. And especially if you're going to show pricing, which please, you know, that I've been preaching this for a long time. You got to show pricing. So as they design their kitchen, as they design the bath, they can see what the price looks like, and it translated into a monthly payment on a calculator so that it's easy for them to understand what my monthly payment's going to look like at the end of the day. So I don't design Taj Mahal and then, oh, I can't afford it. And it's an embarrassing situation. So I love this tool. And then we know that on average, our customers spend about 8 hours playing with this stuff before they ever meet with a design person. So especially if you're like a custom builder, semi-custom builder, and you give your customers an option to meet with the designer. Like I've spoken to some builders who are like, hey, I can't even get in with the designer right now. They're backed up for months. So I can't even have this design meeting to start the process. Well, if you can get them to play with it, design it on their own, and then they meet with the designer for maybe an hour instead of 8 hours, because they already know what they like and they just want to affirm it now with the designer at the end of the day. So yeah, these tools are my favorite for sure. And I mean, a must have in my opinion.
And I would say too, as a home builder and a salesperson, that you can actually sell more because now someone can see all the things and see what they like. So you have the, like option prices, you have the ability to sell more.
We actually know that we sell
most likely more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we actually do have the number that when you offer this tool, people spend an average of 30% more on options versus not offering this. So it's, yeah, for sure.
So imagine for my sales folks, if you get a percentage of your sales price, there you go. So you can sell more. Well, live guided tours, if you follow Anugo on social media, we've been talking about all of our tours. So we're going to get down into it. So a lot of times my sales folks will be like, this is marketing, right? Marketing handles this. I'm going to show you how you can use these tours as a salesperson. So a live guided tour, this is somewhat new. It's definitely new for Anugo clients, but if you've never seen it, so on the right-hand side, it looks like a Zoom, but it's not. So what happens is you can invite So if you have the tour on your website, great, someone can tour your homes. But what this is actually creating, think of it as a party room, if you will, that you can invite a family, investors, or even host an evening or morning or some sort of open house that you as the salesperson can be the guest. And maybe you have your builder as a co-host. So you're the host, you'll have a co-host, maybe you'll have your designer, maybe you'll have a chef, whoever you want to do to co-host and invite, your prospect base. You can invite a family, and literally you could tour them from the comfort of your sales office or your home. And literally they can be at home too, or at their office, depending on where they are. You can tour them through. But the neat thing is, what makes it different than like just doing a Zoom is that people can go off on their own. So you could have a family that they're all logged into their own devices and they're touring the house on their own. And then you guys can all come back together and you can be there to answer questions as they're touring the house on their own. But you can also lock it that you can control their experience and actually give them your tour. So imagine your sales presentations and you're presenting the model home, if you will, or in this case, a virtual tour, and then they can explore it on their own, just like they would do live and in person, but they're doing it in a virtual tour. And when we say virtual, this is not a Matterport. This is actually created from a CAD file of a home that's never been built. So if you can imagine, you have your model home in one version, but this could be the alternate version. This could be all different kinds of, sorry, I'm looking at Lindsay. She's saying great for out-of-state buyers. Absolutely, Lindsay. But this could be like, I'm like losing my train of thought here, John and Anya, but
it's not even limited
I know
to
we've been
that
like
house.
talking about this because I'm like reading the
Well,
comments.
this is kind of crazy, but you can start off in that house, but it really can cover the whole virtual community. So as a salesperson, you can basically walk them down the neighborhood, look at all the different houses, and everybody goes in the houses that they're interested in, takes their own tour, and then meet me at the community center, and we'll hang out by the pool and talk about the ones you're interested in. And the beautiful thing as a salesperson, you can actually see where all of your visitors are at. So somebody's looking at the outdoor kitchen, somebody's looking in the bedroom, somebody's looking in the kitchen, and then you can go and virtually teleport yourself there and have that conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we were testing this as a group, as a team recently, I mean, we all had so much fun. I think we were like laughing nonstop because it's such a different feeling. I think it really makes you feel like you're with people together. Like
it's a social shopping environment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really fun experience. I thought like, oh, how's it different from just sharing it on Zoom? But it's way different. So it's definitely.
Yeah, everyone's like, hey, look at this, look at that. And then all of a sudden, I'm jumping into the kitchen, looking at the farmhouse sink.
Yeah. Well, the kids are exploring their bedrooms.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, as a presentation tool for a salesperson to their audience, but I'm even thinking, like, we were all brainstorming as a sales manager, for me training my sales team on how to present and how to showcase a home. This would be a great environment, especially if everyone's scattered across sometimes the country. If I'm an OSC, whatever it may be, that you can literally help train your sales team as a sales manager with a tool like this, and everybody's together and everyone's exploring, but also you can rein everybody back in and do the presentation. And I do think that this experience is going to be different than demoing a model, right? It is different because you have to obviously know the different parts of the technology, but then also there's some really cool like virtual hotspots too that you can showcase. Like there's so many different things you can add to this. So if this is we wanted to plug this. If you already have virtual tours with Inugo, we can, I think it's for 3 months, we decided. For 3 months, you can get this as an added feature, this live virtual tour. But we can offer this with almost any of our tours right now, if you're interested. So
yeah, even existing clients that have been with us doing virtual tours for the past year, we're going to give you a free upgrade to these live guided tours.
Yeah. Sorry,
definitely
I went over.
Definitely a lot of fun. I mean, we were all laughing, and you feel giddy doing this tour. So definitely check it out. But this is an example of a virtual tour using hotspots. So instead of being passive virtual tour where I'm just like watching, going through the rooms by rooms, this is engaging your consumer and telling them a story of how your homes are different. So if your homes are priced 50 grand, 100 grand higher than this guy down the street, this is a great way to tell your consumers why. So they can click maybe on the siding exterior and say like, oh, we offer hardy board cement siding, and how is it different from just your regular plastic siding? Showing upgrades versus standards, and showing different features of the products that you use in the home, whether it's energy efficient windows. These are all the things that the sales trainers want us to talk about during the sales presentation, but it can be so overwhelming for the consumer. So when whether they're exploring on their own or you're exploring it with them, hey, the Frigidaire is the products that we use here. What's special about them? What is special about this cabinets? What choices do I have for the cabinets? So this is a great way, again, to educate your consumer and really build value in your homes. I love this one.
Yeah, same. So again, I lived so many years of my life in model homes, and I'm going to create the picture for you because I know everyone on here is living this. It's like, oh, you're interested in that option. Okay, come over here to this model. Imagine, and I'm like here because I talk with my hands. Imagine what this would look like. And you're trying to paint this picture, and then you have maybe a photograph and you're kind of showcasing. With this type of tool, you can literally change the options and upgrades based on, hey, this is going to be a barn door. Hey, so that slides open versus just a swing door. The other is, hey, this is the bank of cabinets. So literally with this particular SalesTech tool, you can showcase, instead of trying to get someone to use their imagination, you can literally pull out your iPad, use your flat screen TV in a presentation center. But of course, if someone's an out-of-state buyer, you're doing a Zoom or a GoToMeeting, you can pull out tools like this and literally showcase, hey, this is what you like this is what your home is going to look like, versus trying to get them to imagine. And it's all about setting the right expectations, the right customer experience, and again, building that trust with your home shoppers to make sure that they like what they're about to buy, especially, it's a big ticket item, the biggest ticket item that they're ever going to spend. So this,
one of the biggest obstacles is, buyers not used to looking at floor plans and saying, oh, here's a little footprint of a fireplace. It's much more meaningful and informative to actually see that whole wall with, stacked stone and a mantle.
And a sexier version for sure. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've drawn on blueprints, be like, it's like this, but a little different,
Right.
Imagine. No, and usually it comes out not looking like they imagined. So this is a tool that really helps them visualize. And again, it overcomes the objections of, I can't see it, I can picture it. And it makes it, gives them confidence to really move forward in their decisions. And that's
or drive across town, or begging your homeowners to open up their houses. I mean, we've had to pull so many favors.
I've spent so much money giving the wine bottles out for that. Yes.
And drinking some.
And this is another crowd favorite too, because we're going back to not this option, but this option. So this is a split screen. So this allows you as a salesperson to say, all right, do you like a closed foyer or an open foyer? Do you like the 2-story family room, or do you want the bonus room? What's that going to look like? Because your model has it like this. What's it going to look like? Is it going to be too dark? Literally, a tool like this can showcase what that open 2-story foyer, or 2-story family room, what the closed off living room or the closed off foyer is going to look like. But this is just an example we're showing you. You could have it side by side on, you could have this option or this option. Which do you prefer? And again, imagine how much hemming and hawing and time is wasted on trying to think, like someone's like, I don't know, I can't visualize it. I can't imagine. Do you have a house I can walk through? And then here goes the sales process. It just gets stretched out longer. So this is really, it's all about, expediting that sales process, creating a better customer experience, and actually being able to show them what the differences are and what it's visually going to look like versus trying to get them to imagine. And sometimes as a salesperson, especially a new salesperson, you're like, I've never seen the house without the 2-story family room. I have no idea what it's going to look like. And how can you try like selling it? You know, you have to be believable. Like you have to be able to have confidence. And if you don't have confidence, this is really going to help your sales team get trained up too of what the options are in your models and in your floor plans.
Yeah, and especially I think as the market starts to shift a little bit now, we're maybe going back from, pre-building a lot of the specs to allowing customers design from scratch. And so this would be really cool. Now, this example of a virtual tour is where you can select furniture versus no furniture. So your customers can tour a home and see what it looks like with furniture or empty. So what I love about this, and there's different options. So for example, you saw a dining room. Well, maybe I don't care for a dining room. You could have a different setup there where it shows as an office. So now I can picture, okay, this is actually not a wasted space for me now. This is an option for me to set up my office and work from home. That's really important for me. I can actually see myself now living here because it applies to me. You're talking relevant content to me. Or swapping different style of furniture. For example, in a living room, you could switch out modern furniture to traditional furniture, because how many times have you had somebody walk through your model home and say, love the model, but I just can't see it because this furniture is so awful, right? Because you didn't get my style correct. So giving them different options to see what different style of furniture looks like, so that again, they are able to picture themselves and see their own choices in that is so important. And of course, now a lot of builders are offering shoppable model experience where the furniture that you see in the virtual tour or in the model home is furniture you can buy. So companies like Motsy are pioneering that. And I think that is really exciting, because how many times have you had somebody come into your model home and say, I want it just like this. Where did you get the furniture? It's like, I don't know. So not only can they get the house of their dreams, but they don't have to spend time worrying about furniture, fitting things. It's click of a button and you can get it exactly like this. So I absolutely love it. And of course, there's a potential profit sharing for builders in this type of a model. So love that. Let's see here.
All right. This is getting into what John was talking about at the very beginning, the seat, right? So now this is platform. So we have all the tools that you might have on your website or your marketing team might have put together. But now we're getting into some tools that, again, you might have on your website that you don't think of as a sales tool, interactive maps, interactive floor plans. But let me tell you, everybody, if you're not familiar with what's on your website and you're not familiar with how to use your tools, how embarrassing is it when you have a customer come in and they know how to use and they know what's on your website and you don't, or they know exactly what they want and you're like, where did you see that? Right? Like that is not a good situation. So with everything we're telling you today, especially like the platforms that you're using, especially if they're incorporated in your website, you need to practice. You need to get training. If you're like, I'm just not confident in this, or I'm not sure how to use this, talk to your sales managers. Maybe it's your marketing manager or your vendors, whatever vendor you're using, and make sure you tap into that. But this particular platform that we're showing you, this is tying in everything from find, design, experience, and buy online. So literally taking you all the way through the process that John was talking about earlier with the T being the transaction at the very end, which you can see here on the screen right now. So when we're talking about finding the right home site, if you have a map on your website, even if it's a 2D, not interactive map, make sure it's up to date, right? We encourage interactivity just so someone can click on it and see what homes can be purchased there, or what move-in ready or quick delivery or spec home that you have ready to go. If you have interactive floor plans, make sure you know how to utilize it. Make sure you know how, like, this experience has digital brochures that you can help create with your prospects, but your prospects can create on their own. it's just getting familiar with the tools that your specific builder has in place. And it could just be one of the things that I'm mentioning, a color tool, an interactive floor plan, an interactive sitemap. If you're kind of just a little bit uneasy about it, I urge you to get in there, dig in, because back to what Anya said, is that this technology is not here to replace you, but agents that know how to use it will replace
Yes,
you.
Donald, I think so. Donald had a question about
agent adoption.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, as an agent, for me, it's like when I see this stuff, it's like, I wish I had this stuff when I was selling homes, right? Because it makes your life so much easier. My goodness. I mean, you would close more homes, you would have customers who are very much more satisfied. So I think if you just show them, and I think the key is ease of use, right? Like if the technology is super difficult to use, that's one thing, but if it's as easy as pulling out your phone, swiping, I mean, my 2-year-old knows how to use a phone. And I think that's where we're trying to go with this technology, is that it's very, very easy to use, right? That a customer can do it.
Right, exactly. So if it's out there for your customer to use, you as a salesperson, you need to know what's on your website. You need to know how to use it, and you need to understand how it all flows. And if you don't understand, you need to reach out to either your vendor or your sales team to get the training on it. But there's a lot here. I know we're getting close to time, so let's flip to the sales center. I have been to some amazing sales centers that have gorgeous displays, and this piggybacks on, if you don't utilize your sales center technology, this is SalesTech that so many builders have been using for years. So this is not new technology. We were showing you a lot of really cool, innovative stuff that you might not have seen before. I feel like almost everybody on the call has seen a really beautiful display. I would just urge you to practice, know how it's done, make sure it's all accurate, and use it in your demonstrations. Really use it. We have interactive sitemaps on here in the sales center displays, but the sales center kiosk or the sales center tools and your flat screen TVs, wow, what a change of experience you can have when you can bring someone over and really showcase and bring them in and show them what's around and really immerse themselves into what it would be like to live in your community, versus just letting them do it on their own, which they absolutely can do, but do it with them and help them go through. This is sales technology that's been around and so many companies do such wonderful jobs on this. And I've seen some gorgeous, gorgeous sales center presentations, but usually it's like you have to dust it off because salespeople are like allergic to touch it. It's like, come on, this is sales tech that's been sitting in your office. Don't be afraid of it. It's there to be used. So
couldn't have said it better. Now, as we wrap things up, I just wanted to show you one last sexy video here. So again, this is using augmented reality of what the potential of a future sales process could look like, where you text that 3D home to your customer, they check it out, they see, I like it, I'm coming into the sales center. Instead of looking at the flat map, I saw the home site. Now we're walking home sites and we're dropping the augmented reality home onto the home site so you can see exactly what it's going to look like. Take a picture of it, boom, there goes your viral marketing on the internet, right? Post it on social media, have them design the home, and real time, they can see from every angle what that looks like as they change colors. So again, it's all about building that trust with your customer, making them feel confident, and removing any obstacles or any objections. I mean, I think the biggest thing with the sales tech is that it can help you overcome most of the objections that you hear today. Okay, now, John, take us home.
Hey, I got 5 minutes here. That was a great presentation, guys, but I just want to kind of wrap things up. I just want to compare it to the traditional marketing and sales process that we've been going through. And I always feel like, like I said earlier, the sales guys have always been in the back seat. They've always depended upon all the cool, sexy technology of the marketing people. And sales has been completely dependent upon marketing. As really online marketing is basically handing off the customers to offline sales. And that was good in a certain era, but in this e-commerce world where, everybody's expecting everything immediate and 24/7, it's too long of a drawn out, costly process. And what I'm saying in this e-commerce world, it really requires both Martech and SalesTech to come together. Martech has done an extremely great job for the last couple of decades of generating a tremendous amount of traffic now, but they haven't changed the whole process. So they still, later on in the sales funnel, still rely on manual lead curation and handoffs. And that just simply doesn't scale. And it actually creates a bottleneck. So what used to be a beautifully tapered funnel has turned into a slow hourglass. And we've seen that even worsen with the pandemic, because now you've gotten a flood of leads and it's all become bottlenecked in there. And it's no fault of the salespeople. They just don't even know who the people are because it hasn't gotten to them. And then people are walking away. The only saving grace in this crazy time is that construction is so far behind that you have a 1-year delivery buffer. Otherwise, the consumers will be screaming at you. And meanwhile, in this e-commerce world where the millennials have grown up, with e-commerce, and they're expecting that wonderful experience, shoppers are expecting and want quicker responses and 24/7 updates and less handoffs and more transparency and more control and personal services on top of that. And it just seems like it's doomed to failure if SalesTech doesn't pick up with Martech. And what SalesTech offers salespeople and the consumers, it provides that speed, scale, and that better customer experience that everyone wants. So in this last slide here, what I'm proposing here in this e-commerce world, which is a scary word for this industry, but it's obviously everywhere else. I mean, we're like the only product you can't buy online, is that convergence in Martech and SalesTech is really the recipe. The customer is no longer handed off. The customer does not want to be herded around. They want to be heard, and they want to be the center of attention. I mean, just like on Amazon, instead of making the customer bounce around to all these places, all the marketing and sales comes to their shopping cart, comes to their portal, comes to their email. And so if marketing and sales can together use technology, they can bring all their content to each customer's shopping portal. And we don't have to rely on the handoffs. We don't have to rely on slow drip campaigns, marketing campaigns. Sales, in a crazy way, this sounds crazy, may actually be able to leapfrog marketing in certain circumstances to meet their customers right at the top of the sales funnel, using Facebook, using Zoom, using some of the technologies that we're talking about. I mean, if they're willing to follow you, you should be able to interact with them right there. And if this all works, I think finally we can add the fun back in the sales funnel. And that could be a great, wonderful experience for both the customers and the sellers. So this is what it's all about.
Yes, I think there's some really exciting times ahead for new home sales, because really we were made for metaverse, right? Our product does not exist. It's created in the virtual world until it's built. And so this is a huge opportunity for us to showcase that product. We would love to connect with you guys if you want to learn more about what we do here at Inugo. And of course, any of these conversations, if you want to eavesdrop on our weekly conversation, John and I host our podcast called Inugo New Home Sales. So check it out on your favorite podcasting app. We'd love to hear from you. But we do have a couple of questions here. So let's see. If you guys have we have a couple of minutes for a couple of questions. If anybody is asking any questions, let's see.
I know Lindsay mentioned, definitely time suck driving around town. Don was saying, what was Don saying? He was saying adoption.
Yeah, so I think that is a big one, because let's face it, we still have a hard time getting sales agents to adapt to CRM, right? So I think it is
the most basic of
SalesTech.
The most basic of SalesTech. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just showing the benefits of, I mean, in my eyes, it's a no-brainer, right? If you can make it easier for your customer to understand what you're selling to them, and remove those obstacles, then it's a win-win for everybody. So, all right, well, I think on that note, it's 2:00, so we're going to wrap things up. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. And I will be sure to share this presentation with you all in about a week. Thank you. And we'll
bye,
see you
guys.
soon.
Take care.
Bye.